up, y'all? Welcome to Sabrina Talks. I'm Sabrina if you're new. If you're not, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Now today on Sabrina Talks, we are going to be reviewing the highly anticipated debut album from Lil Nas X. Now we obviously all know Lil Nas X from his hit Old Town Road that got so many remixes, so much popularity, literally took over the whole entire world. And then once he released his EP 7, he was like, hey, you know, I'm not just a one-hit wonder. I got more music to give y'all. And 7 wasn't too bad. Like, it was okay. But Panini was another hit that was kind of not as popular as Old Town Road, but a hit in itself. And then in 2020, he released another single called Holiday. That song, I don't know why, but this year recently, I've just been obsessed with Holiday. It's just always stuck in my head nonstop. But that is a hit in itself as well. So with his EP and all these singles, we knew Lil Nas X was not going anywhere. And of course, he has delivered his debut album to us, and I want to talk about it today. So Montero has about 14 songs. There's one like spoken interlude kind of situation, which is The Art of Realization. And he has some features by Jack Harlow, Elton John, Miley Cyrus, Doja Cat, and Megan the Stallion. So speaking of his features, let's get right into my review of this album. I want to talk about some of the features and how I feel about their songs and the features themselves. So first, let's talk about Scoop with Doja Cat. I feel like Scoop is such a Lil Nas X and Doja Cat kind of song because it's silly, catchy as all hell, and it makes you want to dance, and it gives you that kind of pop, hip-hop vibe, and it's just wonderful. It's not my favorite feature on this album, but I think it's so catchy that you kind of just have to be in a good mood with it. Personally, I don't think it went as hard or as poppy as I feel like them two can do together, but for what it is, I think it's exactly what I expected it to be. Keeping on with the like pop hip hop track, the next feature is $sign Slime with Megan the Stallion. Now this one is slightly more on the hip hop side, but it still definitely has its pop elements to it. This is by far my favorite. Yeah, I think it's my favorite feature on this album. I don't think Megan delivers her like best feature verse she's ever did, but it's still great. It matches along with the song. It gets you hype, that kind of vibe. And then Lil Nas X kills it on his verses. What I really love about this song is the production, which I'll get into later, but everything about this song is just a hit. It makes you want to dance. Makes you want to listen to it 5 times. It's such a shame that this song is so short because it's just wonderful. The next feature I want to talk about, I think, is tied for my second favorite feature, and that is Industry Baby with Jack Harlow. This song, what can I tell you? It's been everywhere since it came out. It is a hit. Period, point blank, and complete, absolute hit. No questions about it. Lil Nas X does a fantastic job with his part. Jack Harlow even does such a great job with his part, and I'm not, you know, the biggest Jack Harlow fan. I like some of his verses here and there, but this verse I was pleasantly surprised with. I love singing along with it. Moving on to the more like slower and more contemporary features, we have One of Me with Elton John, and then we have Am I Dreaming with Miley Cyrus. First, let's talk about One of Me with Elton John. I was highly disappointed at the fact that Elton John wasn't singing in this song, because I feel like Elton's voice and Lil Nas X's voice would have just been wonderful together. However, I must say the piano playing by Elton John is very beautiful. I love that he gets his little solo at the end to kind of fade out the song. I also really like the lyrics and the kind of perspective this song takes, but I'll talk about that more once I get to like the lyrics portion of my review. Lastly of the features, let's talk about Am I Dreaming featuring Miley Cyrus. I love the fact that he's adding another Cyrus into his catalog. Like, he had Billy Ray Cyrus, now he has Miley Cyrus. All he needs now is Noah Cyrus, and he has the Cyrus trifecta, and I think it'd just be fun. This song to me is tied with Industry Baby as my second favorite feature, and it just sounds wonderful. Like, personally, when I heard Miley was going to be on this album, I was really hoping it'd be the Miley that was obviously just in Plastic Hearts, like the very rock-tinged Miley. And I was hoping it would be more like a Prisoner. It would be more like the WTF Do I Know, like real hardcore rock Miley. However, this song is not like that. It's definitely more subdued, and it's definitely giving more like a High or an Angels off of Plastic Hearts. A little bit more of like a softer rock sound, which I still definitely love. Like I said, it's my second favorite feature on this album. I think Miley and Lil Nas X vocals mesh so well together. They harmonies, which I'll get into later, beautiful. It's just a wonderful song, and I love that it is the closing song on the album. I'm not going to talk about each song individually. I just kind of want to highlight the features and what I thought about them. So let's move on to the general category of vocals in this album. Now, as we all know, Lil Nas X is not a top tier vocalist by any means. He's no Usher, no Gallant, no Giveon. He's not in that kind of register of singing. However, I think he did a great job vocally on this album. Like, I'm not really here for rappers who be trying to sing, because most of the time they just be sounding a mess. But since Lil Nas X is technically not a full-blown rapper, and he's more of like a singer, rapper, I just kind of sometimes talk, sing at you, I think that really helps his case on all of the vocals on this album. I love the fact that he doesn't try to like go outside of his range. He sticks to his range, he sticks to what his voice can do, and leaves it at that. I think all of the vocals are very capable of him to sing live, which is a really big thing if he wants to go touring or if he continues to do more performances. I think vocally you can hear the improvement from like Old Town Road and like Panini and all of them other songs that he released. You can definitely tell he has a little bit more control over his range and his singing. Let's move on to production, because this is one of my favorite parts of this album. Take a Day Trip and all of the other producers that worked on this album did a fantastic job. You can hear multiple genres on this album with it all sounding kind of like the same album, which is a feat in itself, because a lot of people might try to throw a bunch of genres on their debut album to kind of see what sticks, but sometimes it won't sound like a collective album. This sounds like a collective album, kind of the same way how Rina Sawayama's debut album Sawayama has like multiple genres, but it all still sounds like the same album. That's what Montero is giving me, and I love it. Some of the genres that we're hearing on this album is obviously rap and like the pop rap with like Dead Right Now, Don't Want It, Scoop, $sign Slime, all of those. Life After Sailor kind of gives us like the grunge, soft rock, kind of punk sound, and Lost in the Citadel kind of gives us like the 2000s kind of pop rock. We get a little bit of like a contemporary pop and like a singer-songwriter sound with songs like One of Me, Am I Dreaming, and Tales of Dominica. And then we kind of get like pure pop with like Industry Baby, That's What I Want, and Call Me By Your Name, which is why I think those are like the three singles. Industry Baby and Call Me By Your Name have a little bit more tinge of other genres in it, but at the end of the day, those are pop songs through and through. I want to talk about some of the instrumentation that is heavily featured throughout this album. First of all, let's get with the trumpets. The trumpets that are featured on some of those songs on this album is magnificent. We know the obvious one of Industry Baby because that was a single, and them trumpets are just, the marching band effect is just wonderful. And then we get into songs like Dead Right Now, which also has some trumpets heavily featured, and it's just, it adds such a nice touch to the song. And then we kind of get like a trumpet trombone kind of mix on $sign Slime, and it just adds such a great touch to the song. Oh, like I said, whoever did the production on this album, A+ is to all y'all. The other instrument that I think is heavily featured on this album is the guitar. We hear about 3 different versions, I think, of a guitar sound on this album. In Call Me By Your Name, we get like more of a Spanish, Caribbean kind of style of guitar on that song. That's What I Want has a very pop sounding guitar because it's very plucky, but not in like a Spanish style. It's more like a pop style of plucking. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but it makes sense to me. And then Am I Dreaming has more of like an acoustic ballad style of guitar, where it's a little bit more subdued and it's a little bit more lullaby-esque. Speaking of Am I Dreaming, let's talk about the harmonies throughout this album. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I'm going to talk about my favorite. Am I Dreaming, like I said, is one of them. Him and Miley harmonizing together is not something that I thought I would love as much as I currently do, but wow, do I love it. Like, I need more songs by the two of them. Tales of Dominica also has some beautiful harmonies throughout the song, and one of my favorite harmonies that are featured in this album is in $sign Slime. Listen, I don't know what to tell you. Them harmonies in that song really get me to my core. I mean, like, did you hear that? How could you not immediately love it? Like, I'm obsessed with that portion. It just really brings me so much joy. Some of the little production things I just want to highlight. The background vocals in Dead Right Now. There's a female vocalist and a male vocalist singing in the background, and oh, it's just wonderful. It adds such a great touch to the song. Because I feel like if it was just Nas X kind of harmonizing in the background and singing a little background vocals, it wouldn't be as fulfilling as having the both of them do background vocals in different portions of the song. So kudos to those two people. Also, like I said, the piano playing by Elton John in One of Me, wonderful. And the strings at the end of Tales of Dominica is just also wonderful. I'm really glad that he decided to let some more instrumentation shine through and have their moments throughout the song. Same with the beginning of Dollar Sign Slime, where he lets just kind of like the trumpet, trombone sound go before he starts speaking. I love letting the music breathe. Last big category I want to talk about is the story and the lyrics throughout Montero. Now, once again, Lil Nas X is not the most, wonderfulest of songwriters there ever was. His lyrics on this album aren't the most profound. They don't have the most wonderful metaphors and allegories and soliloquies and all of those literary terms that people would expect from really profound songwriters. He's not one of those people, but what I can absolutely say is he has shown so much improvement since 7 and Old Town Road and all of them other songs. His kind of bag of songwriting is very relatable, very simple, and I think that's great. I don't think every song needs to have metaphors out the wazoo. Sometimes you just want to have a lyric that's just face value and really simple and you can just easily understand. But anyways, I think the most important part of his lyrics are that they are relatable, but they are not cheesy. They are, something you can understand. They're something you can easily catch on to, but they're not so kind of formulaic and just made up just to sell records. Kind of like how that Addison Rae song is. I forgot what the heck that name of the song is, but the lyrics in that one, cheesy to the max. I mean, when you think of the negative connotation of a pop song and pop lyrics, that's what I'd be thinking of. And Lil Nas X is far from it. I feel like most of the songs on this album can kind of be fit into a couple of categories. They're either like a really, vulnerable song where he's really telling you his emotions and his feelings. They're a song where he's kind of flexing and kind of doing like a victory lap. Or they're songs about his romantic life. I feel like with most of the vulnerable songs on this album, they either deal with like loneliness, they deal with his thoughts about like unaliving himself, they deal with his dysfunctional family. That kind of story is throughout most of those songs. You can see those topics in the songs like Void, Sun Goes Down, Dead Right Now, and Tales of Dominica. Dead Right Now is the second song on this album, and I think this song does such a great job of telling the story of his relationship with his parents. The first verse kind of tells you what his dad used to say to him, and then the second verse kind of tells you how his dad felt about him trying to be like a music star, and a little bit about how people are popping up now that he is successful. The third verse, we start talking about his mother and how she never really believes in him either. And then we get kind of more into Lil Nas X's perspective with the pre-chorus and the chorus talking about you never used to want to talk to me, you never used to believe in me, so now that I am actually successful now, I don't want to hear from you. I'm just gonna act like you don't exist because I don't got time for the tomfoolery. With the song Sun Goes Down and Void, we talk more about how he felt about unaliving himself and how he no longer wanted to live, which is sad. And I pray this boy gets some therapy. But in Void, which I think is the longest song on the album, we get more into his thoughts and emotions, and it seems to be more like a letter to himself about how he used to feel or still currently feels. Like I said, please get this boy some therapy. And then with Tales of Dominica, like I said, we get more into that dysfunctional family story and how he felt about it and all the things that was going on there. Also really love in One of Me, we kind of get this perspective of a hater talking to Lil Nas X, kind of going on the themes of oh, you'll never make it past Old Town Road, you're gonna stay a one-hit wonder. If you drop an album, no one's gonna care, it's gonna flop, you should sound like this, you should do this, XYZ. And I really like that he took that perspective in this album. Like I said, we get more of the romantic storyline with songs like Life After Salem, Lost in the Citadel, where they both kind of speak in the perspective of maybe a relationship that has ended. Call Me By Your Name and That's What I Want are more on the lustful side of dealing with his romantic life. And then obviously Industry Baby, Dollar Sign Slime, Scoop, and Don't Want It are more on the flexing side. They don't tell as much of a story as some of the vulnerable moments on this album, but they're definitely like, y'all all thought I couldn't make it, but here I am making it. That kind of confidence is seen more on those songs. Overall though, I am super impressed with this debut album. Now, I knew Lil Nas X was at least going to give me something good, right? I knew it was going to be pretty decent, if anything, because he's a pop star. So I knew at least half of the songs on this album were going to be good enough for me to like it. But I love the fact that he got a little bit more deeper. He got vulnerable. He showed us some sides of himself that he doesn't often showcase to the world, because we know Lil Nas X as the troll who just be having fun. But you can see on this album his darker moments, his moments where he just did not want to be alive anymore. And I think he portrayed that very well on this album, because like I said, he could have easily gave us a strictly, you know, pop rap album, not talk about any of his darker moments in his life. He could have just maybe hinted at it, but still kind of went through a whole like flexing moment, but he didn't, and I am so happy that he chose not to do that. But like I said before, you can see the clear improvement from Old Town Road and from his EP, and I think that's the best thing you could do for a debut album. I feel like we touched on a good amount of genres in this album for me to just kind of be excited for whatever he decides to give me in his future ones. So we shall see. Before I go, I want to give you my score for this album and my favorite songs of this album. Let's start off with the favorites. $sign Slime obviously is one of my favorites.
Oh, there's a big surprise!
I mean, I've talked about that song so many times on this review. You had to have known it was coming. That song just gives me so much joy that I can't not love it. Another one of my favorites is That's What I Want. I don't know what to tell y'all. That is a pop hit that's never leaving my side. My last favorite is Am I Dreaming, because it's an unexpected favorite, but I just really enjoy it. So those are my favorites. Now let's get into my score for this album. If you've seen any of my previous album reviews, I rate the album by how many songs that I save onto it. So there's 14 songs on this album, so I personally give it a 14 out of 14, and I'm now also going to start giving it a letter grade to match it. So to me, this album gets a solid A. It impressed me enough and I love it enough for it to be a solid A, but it doesn't get an A+ for me because I don't absolutely adore every single song. I do like every single song though. So that's like the difference between like an A+ and an A. But yeah guys, that about wraps up my video for today guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please go give it a like down below. You can also follow me on my social media and let me know there. I highly suggest you follow me on Twitter, because most of the time when I'm listening to a new album, I will tweet my reaction while I'm listening to it. So I did a bunch of live tweeting while I was listening to Montero. So like I said, I suggest you follow me on Twitter. You can also follow me on Instagram for updates for, you know, when I drop a new video and stuff like that. My Instagram and Twitter is @SabrinaTalks2, and my TikTok is @SabrinaTalks2U. If you would like to see more album reviews, movie reviews, TV show reviews, commentary on entertainment in general, I suggest you subscribe to my channel, because I think it's a good time over on Sabrina Talks. But of course, no pressure. As long as you are watching this video and enjoying, that's all I care about. Don't forget to share this video with your friends so we can all have a nice discussion on Montero. And as always, please remember to be safe, be smart, be kind, and I'll catch y'all in my next video. Bye guys.